You know, I seem to like to disappear and reappear about a year or so later with a brand new microphone, but anyway, hello, and welcome to my Let's Play of Muppet Monster Adventure. So Muppet Monster Adventure is a PS1 licensed game, and it's actually a pretty good licensed game. I noticed that back in the good old days of PS1, quite a few licensed games were actually of decent quality, mostly because they were trying to copy other ones. I mean, there were a lot of like bad games, but some were actually pretty decent because they followed good games pretty faithfully. I would put it up there actually with, say, the likes of Toy Story 2, with how good it is. But I'll get on that a bit later. Right now it's just the opening cutscene where the Muppets are on holiday, but of course they have to go to a spooky castle instead of actually somewhere fun. And Robin's over-imaginative brain causes him to faint at the sight of a silhouette because stranger danger.
What happened? The good news is that you, Beaker, Pepe, and myself are unharmed. What's the bad?
So everyone died, but not really, they just became monsters. Except for these three, because I guess Honeydew, Beaker, and Pepe needed some extra love and popularity, so they tried to push them more.
Everything in the area is rapidly becoming evil. So what are we going to do? I'm so glad you asked me that question, my young friend.
But yeah, it's an interesting premise. The entire world, or like area, has become evil because energy has been spread out by this supposed evil master. And we just so happen to have the tools to defeat them.
I must still be dizzy. It sounded like you said I would save everyone. The backpack and glove are designed specifically for the amphibian anatomy. Wow, what a coincidence. Don't worry.
And I guess they couldn't be bothered thinking of a better workaround, so fourth wall break is pretty nice. I guess they want Robin to be a bit more popular. And here we have Pepe, the King Prawn. Yeah, not the meme Pepe. Of course, they choose the tutorial character to be the Muppet with the hardest to understand accent. But this is an interesting concept actually. They made it so he appears in the stages everywhere. And to answer the question of how is he everywhere, it's just he's just like a hologram being transmitted.
Well, I guess I could give it a try.
Enough with the talking. Get on with the saving, okay? You're a tough frog, okay? You're a brave frog, okay? Get the monsters! Get the monsters! Go, 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 go!
And here we go. We're almost ready to start. And yeah, our loading screen is a Doctor Who vortex. And this is our hub world.
This is the hub, okay? From here,
and here we go with Pepe in his super long neck talking to us. I always thought his neck looked a bit like a beak. And like his head was at a really weird angle. Because his mouth sort of looks like an indent on his beak. So yeah, the first world is just it's just the castle area. Just based on like, you know, where we're starting from the place that we came from.
The want this on, okay?
But yeah, this game is very Spyro-y. That's the game that it's copied most. More specifically, Spyro 2. It's got its evil energy, which is basically the gems. It's got Muppet tokens, which are just like the orbs. And then it's got its own like original collectibles. It's got a thing called the bonus, where you collect letters. Bonus. And there's these things called amulets, and they just get you your basic abilities. They only appear at the beginning of the stage, like the game, so I don't know, would it have been like, either there would have been loads of backtracking, or it would have felt like Robin didn't have enough moves if they had to spread them out a bit more. Like, the ability to swim and glide and climb is a bit... It feels kind of like something you should have around the start. Yeah, the reason why I say this one is most like Spyro 2 is it's not like Spyro 1 where it's just about completion and trying to get everything. There's a lot of challenges in the game too, which is a lot like Spyro 2. Spyro 2 is a lot more about completion.
You only need 2 more pieces of the Muck Monster amulet.
And with Spyro 2, like, there's a lot of challenges to do to get orbs rather than just finding them in places. And similar thing happens here. But yeah, our Muppet friends have been turned into monsters, and we have to morph into sort of miniature versions of themselves, so that's how we get our power abilities, like swimming and climbing and gliding.
Ready for some in-depth interviews? Mucky the Muck Monsters.
So they assign the ones that kind of make sense to each Muppet.
And explore more underwater.
So like, because Clifford's like the fish one, of course he's the swimming one. Godzo flies out of a cannon, so he's got the flight ability, and it kind of makes sense with their like monsters too, because like Gonzo's like Dracula, and it's like funny because they call him Nosferatu because of his big nose. Got like Miss Piggy, who's like the Bride of Frankenstein, who karate chops. Kermit is Frankenstein's monster, with who has like super strength, and yeah, and Fozzie's like a werebear who can climb. The other thing that makes this game very Spyro-y is its kind of control scheme. The glove power is basically the flame breath. Robin doesn't have a charge, but instead he has Crash Bandicoot's spin. But it functions pretty similarly, as in it's a close range attack, and if you can't use your power glove on something, then you have to use your spin. So because Robin doesn't charge, there's an actual button for running. And to use your abilities, you have to press the triangle button when the Muppet's face appears in the corner. This game is very heavy. The physics are very heavy. So it's a bit like Croc, where like when you jump, like your jump arc is very sharp, and it's you fall very fast. One thing this game also likes to use is the squash and stretch of platforms. It also likes blowing up platforms too. But when I was younger, I didn't have another Spyro game. I only had the first one, and then I had this game. So this was a good substitute to keep me going, since I was never able to
Hola.
play any other Spyro game for quite a
You have
while.
Nosferatu's glide power, okay? Now you can rescue everyone in the village with more on-time flights than any superhero, okay?
But yeah, as I said before, this is a very good game, and I would actually recommend playing it.
Everybody ready? Okay. On your mark.
So this is one of the challenges, where you can start running before Pepe says go. It's just a basic race. You have to go through all the checkpoints and do it faster than the opponent, who in this case is a peacock called Percy. There's a thing they've done with this, is the racing actually has rubber banding to it. So as you can see, I am always the same distance ahead of this peacock, but if he were to overtake me, and I kept running, I would eventually catch up and overtake him, but then he would suddenly be the same speed as me, as long as we're a certain distance apart. Yeah, it's a pretty easy challenge that. You just gotta make sure
Way to go, okay?
you run in a straight line, which is a bit difficult
I'll give
sometimes.
you the Muppet token, okay?
And that's 3 Muppet tokens. There's, for the first few worlds, there's 5 Muppet tokens per world, and then it goes to 6, and then it ends up being 7 for the last few ones. There is a glitch in this game where you can you can actually duplicate Muppet tokens, and there is a person who has a speedrun of this game where they've done that like nearly 100 times in this first level, just so they can skip to the last boss, because in the hub world the last boss level is next to the first level, so it actually will let you turn the cog backwards one if you have enough tokens. Now here's the secret in this stage. The way you're meant to find out about this is actually through the gallery system. When you've beaten a level, or when you kill an enemy and say you die, any enemies that respawn will drop a coin, and there's 1 coin for every enemy. So if you were to complete the gallery, you'd have to actually play through every level twice. The gallery doesn't actually count for 100% completion, but it does host some secret videos in there, some special videos that show secrets in the game, some of them necessary to actually complete the game. Because it provides like sound clips, concept art, clips from Muppet like films and stuff, and then there's these golden clapperboards, and if you go on those, they show secrets of the game. So some are just like the one I showed just then. It's just a secret area with some extra lives, but sometimes it actually shows you some really cryptic secret where there's no way of knowing about these ones. You just have to use the gallery to find out. Yeah, this is the first level, close to being finished. Just gonna go get our extra lives, because the thing with this game is the lives are actually very limited. You start with 3, 0 does count as a life, but lives don't respawn, so those 3 I just got then, even if I were to revisit the level, they wouldn't come back. And there's no like fodder or anything to get lives again in this game. But thankfully it's a fairly easy game, so you probably won't die very often in it. And you might notice that I've been jumping a lot too when I've been breaking crates. I'll probably have to explain that next part because we're almost at the end here, but there's an interesting story behind that. But with that, we have this level complete, and we can go back to Doctor Who land. So with that, the first level's complete. Gives us a big gong sound effect, and then we can move on to the next level. So, in the next part, we will be doing Hallways of Doom. So thank you for watching, and see you then.